My question is directed to all those carrying aloft their banner for the cause of asylum seekers. How can you voice so much zeal and advocate so much compassion toward illegal aliens, yet display so little enthusiasm for the plight of many thousands of loyal Australian citizens who continue to endure unacceptable deprivation on a daily basis? Doesn't charity begin at home anymore?
Scott Ludlam. Well, it's a great question to bring in at that point, isn't it? Because I think people have accused Julia Gillard, the Prime Minister, of blowing the dog whistle. You guys, Tony Abbott might as well have been blowing on a vuvuzela for the last couple of weeks. And the language is coming from politicians, and then we get questions like that. Doesn't charity start at home? They're not unlawful aliens, they're human beings. We've now got a couple of children who have been born into detention. I think it would help if the gentleman who just put the question to us is go to Villawood, didn't say where he came from, go to Perth Airport, take the drive up to Curtin Detention Centre and look some of these human beings in the eye. For sure, charity starts at home, and I think Australians, we like to see ourselves as a generous country. But I don't think those two things are incompatible.
Christopher Pyne, can I ask you, is your policy based on the fact that a lot of people out there, or you perceive that a lot of people out there think like Christopher Byrne?
No, I think Christopher Byrne's entitled to his opinion, of course. We are a democratic country. I think our policy is based around how to make sure that we don't have unauthorised arrivals of asylum seekers. That fits, doesn't it, Your Honour?
Close, Christopher.
That's better than calling them unlawful aliens. They are unauthorised arrivals as opposed to ones who come with visas or passports, and they are asylum seekers. And our policy is based around trying to limit the number of people who try and come to Australia that way, because number one, we think it's dangerous for them to do so, and number two, we think it makes those our humanitarian policy, where we take about 13,500 refugees a year. The more we take onshore, I understand, the less we take from offshore, in which case, if you are waiting in Kenya or Thailand or elsewhere, and we have to take onshore refugees, then you have to wait that little bit longer, and I don't think that is compassionate.
But Christopher, surely the part of your policy that says you'd push boats back offshore, back out to sea, when you know that there's no country that will take them, and when you know they're very likely to be disabled and unsafe, surely that part of your policy is designed to appeal to people like our questioner.
In the Howard government, I understand there are at least 7 occasions when the Navy turned boats around and returned them to their port from whence they'd come, or put them into international, out of Australian waters. Now, of course, Tony Abbott has said that will be a matter for the discretion of the Navy.
Oh, they've got to wear the can.
If a boat is clearly unseaworthy or disabled, then of course it won't be turned around.
Isn't it
the point is that it has happened.
Cases,
just a second, Lenore. The point, we're old friends, it's okay. We're allowed to touch on screen.
Let's see whether Lenore agrees.
I'm sure the judge would be too pleased to have the arm around her.
No.
We'll have to behave with the judge on the panel. But we're obviously not going to turn any boat around that it is unseaworthy and dangerous to do so, but it has happened in the past.
Got you a headline,
and we've said that if it is capable of being done, if it's appropriate, we'll allow that to happen in the future, and the Navy will be given that discretion.
But you know those 7 cases happened before the people smugglers cottoned on to the fact that if they disabled the boats, then they wouldn't be pushed out to sea.
We had one example last year, Civ 36, where the passengers thought they were being turned around to Indonesia. You remember? They lit a fire. Between the crew and the members on the boat, they lit a fire. 5 people died. We almost lost a couple of Navy and Border Protection personnel. 5 of them were injured. That's what happened when they thought they were being turned around. That's the reality. The reason the Howard government stopped is because the tactic didn't work anymore, because they were putting bungs in the boats, pulling it and sinking the boats.
But you said
the reality is
it didn't work. Now you're doing it yourself.
Because if we're going to have this argument, let's have an argument based on facts. Philip Ruddock, your next immigration minister, I gather, if you're elected, admitted on radio today there's a reason why they stopped doing it.
The election must be coming up very soon for you to try and say things like that.
They were disabling the boats. We had 8 or 9 kids on a boat yesterday. Are you going to turn them back to sea?
Yes,
You're going to tow them back to Sri
there are
Lanka?
more children in
It is a
detention.
nonsense.
It's
You know it's a nonsense, and it's just designed to appeal to those people who
Okay, no,
who want to hear that.
There are
you've
more
both
children in
made your
detention today
points
than there
about
were
this,
under the
and
Howard
neither of them were related to the question. So I just want to hear...
Getting very boring.
I
We're
just
going to
wanna-
discuss anything else
I just
here
wanna-
tonight?
Yeah, well, we might let you discuss all sorts of things later. Chris Evans, I just want you to respond to that question. And is it your view, is it the Labor Party's view, that that kind of sentiment that you heard from the questioner, Christopher Byrne, is widespread?
Look, I think there is this concern that people are getting an unfair advantage by coming in an unauthorised way, and I think that grates with people. And this argument about a queue has got currency in Australia. The reality is there is no queue. There are millions and millions of people who will not be resettled. But they are concerned at people getting an unfair advantage, if you like, by employing a people smuggler. And I think that's a reasonable concern. I want to control our borders as Immigration Minister. I want to have the proper controls, be they students, tourists or permanent migrants. And it's not unreasonable for the Australian people to say we want to know who's coming in, we want them to be coming in lawfully. But equally, we're a generous nation and we ought to be taking a decent share of the world's refugees.